We're right in the middle of one of the biggest transformations in human history. Seriously, we're talking about a massive shift from the giant room-sized mainframes of yesterday to the machine minds of tomorrow. And this isn't just about new gadgets. It's about a fundamental rewiring of our entire world. So let's dive in and really figure out what's going on and why it matters so much.
And Klaus Schwab, the guy who founded the World Economic Forum, he absolutely nailed it with this quote. He's saying, this revolution, it's not just about the smartphone in your pocket or how fast your Wi-Fi is. No, it goes way deeper. We're talking about a fundamental change that's reshaping our jobs, how we connect with each other, and maybe even our very sense of who we are.
All right, so what makes this industrial revolution so different from the ones we read about in history books? Well, think about it. The first ones ran on steam, then electricity. This one, it runs on something totally different. Two key ingredients: data and intelligence. Let's dig into what that actually means. So, what are we really talking about? Imagine a complete overhaul, a total rethink of how we do, well, everything. It's changing how we build things, how we trade, how we connect as a society. And right in the middle of this perfect storm is this incredible cluster of technologies, with artificial intelligence, or AI, basically leading the charge and rewriting all the rules. But, to really get how we got here, we have to go back a bit. We need to rewind the clock, because this whole story really starts with a huge power shift in computing itself. It's a journey that took technology from these exclusive, locked-down rooms and put it into the hands of, well, pretty much everyone. Okay, just look at this. This is what computing used to look like. Back in the mainframe era, computing power was this incredibly rare, super expensive thing. The analogy of a giant library for the whole world is perfect. But imagine only a tiny handful of people had the keys. That's why innovation was so slow. Access was everything, and hardly anyone had it. That centralization was the single biggest bottleneck holding progress back. And then the cloud happened. And honestly, it was nothing short of a revolution. Suddenly, instead of paying millions for one giant machine, you could use a flexible, on-demand model. Pay for what you use. The limits of a single computer? Gone. Replaced by these huge clusters of servers you could access from literally anywhere with an internet connection. This wasn't just some minor upgrade, it was a completely new way of thinking about what computing could be. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's simple, really. The cloud made computing power cheap, it made it scalable, and it made it accessible to just about everyone. It wasn't just another piece of tech. It was the fertile ground, the very soil where this whole fourth industrial revolution was going to grow. And once that door was kicked wide open, wow, a whole flood of disruptive technologies just came pouring through. These are the real engines building the world we live in today. And what's so wild is how they all work together. They feed off each other, amplifying and accelerating the pace of change like never before. Leading the pack, of course, is artificial intelligence. And we're not talking about the old-school, rigid computing of just simple, if this, then that rules. No way. Modern AI is all about building systems that can actually learn, adapt, and make smart decisions, even when things get messy and unpredictable. Kind of like we do. Now, if AI is the engine, then big data is its high-octane fuel. I mean, we are generating an absolutely mind-boggling amount of data every single second. So big data is really just the name for all the tools and methods we use to handle this constant flood of information and to find the valuable patterns hidden inside it all. So, where is all this data coming from? A huge chunk of it comes from the Internet of Things, or IoT. You've probably heard of it. It's basically this giant network of physical stuff. Everything from your smartwatch counting your steps to a sensor on a massive cargo ship out at sea. They're all connected, all constantly sharing data. It's kind of like the nervous system of our modern digital world. And believe me, the toolbox for this revolution is absolutely packed. I mean, you've got robotization turning factories into these hyper-efficient operations. You've got autonomous vehicles on the verge of completely changing how we get around. 3D and 4D printing are changing where we make things. And then there's stuff like blockchain and nanotechnology, which are just pushing the absolute limits of what we thought was possible. This is the toolkit we're using to build the future. Okay, so out of all these incredible technologies, the partnership between AI and big data, that might be the most important one of all. It's this perfect cycle, right? They have this symbiotic relationship where more data makes the AI smarter, and smarter AI can find more value in the data. They just make each other more and more powerful. Let's break down how that actually works. All right, this is called the knowledge pyramid. And I know, it might look a little complicated at first glance, but the idea behind it is actually really simple and powerful. It basically shows that intelligence isn't just magic. It doesn't just appear. It's a process. You have to build your way up from the bottom, starting with the raw ingredients. So here's how it works. You start at the bottom with just raw data. Think of it as just numbers and symbols, no context. Then AI comes in and processes all that data to find patterns. That turns it into information. Next, that information gets organized and condensed until it becomes useful. That's knowledge. But here's the most important part. The final jump is when you take that knowledge and actually use it to make a decision or take an action. That's intelligence. So, when you put all these pieces together, what do you get? You take the basically limitless computing power from the cloud, you add that constant fire hose of data from the Internet of Things, and you mix in the learning power of AI, and what you get is a perfect storm of transformation. The end result is that our world is literally being reshaped right in front of us. And that really brings us full circle, right back to where we started. These technologies, they're not just new tools. They're not just changing how we do things. They're creating brand new ways for us to work, to interact with each other, and to live our lives. They're rebuilding our society from the ground up. And all of this, it all leads to one final, really deep question. For all of human history, what made us special was our ability to see, to hear, to learn, to reason. But now we're building machines that can do those very same things. So as this revolution keeps charging forward, we have to ask ourselves a really old question in a very, very new way. What will it mean to be human?